Hello everyone, this is Abi aka onlyabidoang. Yes, this is me. I'm using Facecam now ever since 3 videos ago. It's a new format that I'm still experimenting. Today I'm going to show you 50 fascinating facts in The Sims 4 that you might not know. The last time I made something like this was in that video talking about 20 minutes of useless Sims 4 facts, but turns out that most of you said that these facts weren't actually useless. So for this video, I changed it to fascinating instead. Not useful though, because some of these facts don't offer any gameplay advantages. These facts can be in the form of features, references, details, Easter eggs, observations, you name it. Before continuing, just a quick reminder that I now have a creator code. Feel free to use the code onlyabidoang when buying any Sims 4 packs in the EA app if you'd like to support me. There's also a summer sale going on right now until July 10th. Okay, enough about that, let's dive straight into these facts. Babies, infants, and toddlers are completely immune to fire, and so are pets, though cats and dogs can still catch on fire and get singed right after, but they'll be okay. If you command a vegetarian werewolf to go hunt for food, instead of raw meat, they will bring home some mushrooms instead. When you use a laser pointer to play with cats, it usually appears as a simple red dot. But if your sim is feeling certain positive emotions, the laser pointer actually changes color and icon depending on the emotion. The birds in The Sims 4, especially those from older packs or meant purely as background effects, often have very low poly models. Meanwhile, interactable birds from newer packs come with much better models and animations. This leads to some silly situations where both old and new bird models coexist in the same scene, like this clunky sandrunner standing next to the sleek wild birds, the background crows from the Vampires pack compared to the interactable ones from Life and Death, or the rigid birds from Backyard Stuff sharing space with the more animated ones from Cottage Living. There are also these stiff background chickens in Solani versus the detailed ones from Cottage Living, which is just hilarious to look at. If a sim is set to be standing, you might think it doesn't work since they usually sit down anyway, but actually it depends on their bladder level. If their bladder need is still above 50% when they use the toilet, they will be standing, but if it's lower than that, they will sit no matter what. The Firefly special effect item in build mode has a description that says, "You will not believe your eyes, look at all these fireflies." This is a reference to the lyrics of the song Fireflies by Owl City. When building a snow pal, children and toddlers can tell it a story, and the interaction gets a different title depending on their emotion. If you check the game files, there's even a flirty version called Tell a Romantic Story. But here's the thing, children and toddlers can't feel flirty in normal gameplay for obvious reasons. Turns out that the only way to trigger this is by using a teen or older sim with the childish trait to feel flirty, as they can also tell stories to snow pals. The candy maker from the Business and Hobbies expansion pack is called the Kate and Berry Sweet Treats Fabricator 3000, which is clearly a reference to that iconic stuff pack from Sims 3, Katy Perry Sweet Treats. Yep, that one. Horses can't use stairs at all, but they can step onto platforms that are one step high. So if you build a bunch of platforms as so, you can kind of make a stair they can walk up. Just don't expect them to reach the next floor. Even if it looks like a step, it still technically needs a stair to connect, and horses won't go past that. Oke, bagian ini khusus buat viewers gue yang nonton dari Indonesia. Kalau kalian main pakai expansion pack for rent dan tinggal di kota Tomarang, kalian mungkin bakal nemu sims random yang muncul pakai nama-nama dari negara-negara Asia Tenggara nih, termasuk nama-nama khas Indonesia. Kalau kita ngintip ke file gamenya, bisa kelihatan tuh daftar nama Indonesia yang mungkin muncul. Misal Ica, Indah, Rani, Tri, Indra, Gunawan, Surya. Bahkan yang bikin gua kaget, ada nama gua bejir, ada Abi di sini di paling atas absen 1. Gila sih. Bahkan nama-nama marga juga masuk, kayak ada marga Batak nih, ada Nasution, Panjaitan, ada marga Karo, kayak Tarigan, lalu ada juga Caniago dari Minang, dan nama-nama khas Bali ada Ni sama Wayan. Alright, back to English. In the Business and Hobbies expansion pack, if you talk to Trashly Real Pearson, an NPC in North Haven who's definitely not just a bunch of raccoons in a trench coat, and you happen to have a raccoon tattoo, they will compliment it and give you a discount on their wares. Additionally, if you show up wearing the raccoon costume from City Living instead, they won't be too flattered about it. With Fitness Stuff Pack, if a sim works out using the TV, their movements will actually sync up with the ones shown on the screen. But if your game lags or you speed up the time, the sink will quickly break. When the foreign pack came out in December 2023, it introduced a bunch of Southeast Asian dishes. One of them was nasi lemak, a dish from Malaysia, but I've had plenty of them too here in Indonesia. The problem? The in-game version looked nothing like actual nasi lemak. A lot of Southeast Asian simmers, myself included, complained about this, and 2 months later, a patch updated the model to look much more accurate. The old version was renamed to coconut rice, which honestly makes way more sense. What's still weird though is that nasi lemak is marked as vegetarian safe, even though you can clearly see a chicken drumstick in there. In the Business and Hobbies expansion pack, if a sim uses the whiteboard to start a food or drink related skill lecture, there's a funny drawing of a chef sandwiching another chef. This is a nod to the iconic Gordon Ramsay idiot sandwich skit. If you add Grim to your household, edit him in Create a Sim, and remove his hood, this is what he looks like. For some reason, instead of a unique look, he looks exactly like this particular sim face preset. This is his new look though, it was added in the October 2024 update. Before that, Grim had a completely different look under the hood. Destination worlds like Salvadorada and Granite Falls aren't supposed to be livable since residential lots can't be built here. However, if you edit one of the lots there, you can somehow assign it into a haunted house residential lot with the paranormal stuff pack. And because of that, it becomes a loophole that lets you actually live there without using mods. That said, there's a major downside. You're still technically considered to be in a vacation world. This means that you cannot travel to other worlds through the map. You can sometimes get around this with things like festival pop-ups or special event prompts. But returning home might cause certain issues. So while it's fun to try, living in a destination world using this method is not really recommended. You can enlarge or shrink babies in build mode using the square brackets key, since they're technically objects. The same trick works for farm animals like chickens, rabbits, mini goats, and mini sheep. With this, you can even create a literal kaiju to cause chaos to your sim's neighborhood. Still related to the previous fact, if you're in the scientist career from Get to Work and use the upgraded sim ray to transform objects, you'll usually get another random object in return. But since those farm animals like chickens, rabbits, mini goats, and sheep are technically objects too, there's a tiny chance the object could transform into one of them. Not babies though, they're a different kind of object tied to your household. The Sunbeam Scribble painting from Cats and Dogs has a unique property. Each watch is part of a set of 4, and if you line them up just right, the artwork actually connects into one big painting. There's a curse in Jungle Adventure Pack called the Curse of the Pancake Mirage. If you activate a Chaos Tatekalama relic with a refined rare crystal, your sim will start seeing mirages of delicious pancakes, and this includes Bob Pancakes himself. To lift the curse, just eat a stack of pancakes. No, not Bob, for obvious reasons. And fun fact, this notification is the only instance in the game where the word cannibalism is mentioned, albeit with a typo. In Eco Lifestyle, you can dive into dumpsters for deals and find all sorts of random objects and furnitures. Some of them are actually exclusive and can't be bought anywhere else. The retro TV, chair, and table you can find this way are direct throwbacks to iconic objects from The Sims 1. The Hygienic Decontamination Pot, unlocked at level 7 of the Scientist career in the Get to Work pack, isn't just a regular shower with a sci-fi look. It also instantly cures any illness your sim currently has. The Kindness Ambassador trait was a reward from the Limited Time Positivity Challenge event that ran for several days back in 2018. It's no longer obtainable through normal gameplay, but you can still get it via the cheat traits.equip_trait _kindness_ambassador if you'd like to try it out. Sims with this trait have stronger friendships and fewer negative emotions. There used to be a reaping hidden skill in the base game when the game first launched in 2014. It didn't actually do anything, and you could only level it up with cheats, but it had full descriptions in the skill UI. It was then quietly removed in a patch, probably around 2016. It seems like they originally planned to let you play as the Grim Reaper way earlier, but then the idea was scrapped. Until it all came full circle in 2024 with the Life and Death expansion pack where you can work as the Reaper. In a Life and Death expansion pack, after a sim dies and gets ripped by the Grim Reaper, either the ghost or another household member can rate his ripping from 1 to 5 stars. Giving him 5 stars gives a happy buff and boosts your relationship with Grim, while giving 1 star gives a confident buff but lowers the relationship. The blob inside the lava lamp from the Strangerville game pack jiggles slightly when you move it around in build mode. In Cats and Dogs expansion pack, toddlers and infants can pass through the large pet door. Meanwhile, only infants can fit through the small one. In the Morningvale district of the world Ravenwood, you might spot a ghost train in the distance that vanishes just after crossing the bridge. Sims with the Macabre trait from Life and Death pack will have their own unique portrait pose in their portrait. Child Sims with this trait also get their own ghastly pose. It's currently the only trait in the game that changes portrait poses. The pose shows up when the sim is feeling fine, as well as in the relationship panel and household menu. When the game first came out, there was a small detail where you could hear things going on inside a neighbor's house if your camera pans closer to it without loading that lot, like playing the stereo, chatting, preparing a meal, etc. And for some reason, this feature was removed in a base game update shortly after Outdoor Retreat released in 2015. Additionally, back in 2014, the game had these animated scenes playing in the main menu when you first enter the game, showcasing Sims doing random things. This lasted through Outdoor Retreat, where that pack even get its own unique scene. But starting with Get to Work in 2015, it was replaced with static renders instead. If you feed your pet a poop randomizer treat, there's a rare chance they'll poop out a gold ingot worth exactly 6,006 simoleons. Why 6,006? Well, because if you flip it upside down, it reads gook? Well, wait, that's not... Oh, sorry, wrong way. There we go. It reads poop. Pretty clever. The description of the phone booth decor from Cottage Living, yes, they're not functional unfortunately, is a reference to the TV show Doctor Who. In the world North Haven from Business and Hobbies, you'll find Grandma Hattie and Cannonball Coleman living here. Both of them actually come from a Sims spin-off game called The Herbs Sims in the City, specifically the Game Boy Advance and Nintendo DS versions. Oh, this game made my childhood, man, I swear. Crispin Black, who lives in the same house as Cannonball, is also from The Herbs, but the console version. And if you become close friends with Cannonball, Crispin, and his adoptive child Ollie Mark, they can reveal the identity of Ollie's biological parents, Skidmark and Jade. These two are also characters from the Herbs console edition, though they don't appear in The Sims 4. The arcade machine from Get Together costs exactly 1,337 simoleons to buy. This is a reference to lead or 1337, a stylized way of writing a lead that originated from early internet and gaming culture. If you're in the detective career from Get to Work and happen to arrest a disguised alien, scanning their fingerprints will cause an error on the machine and immediately break their disguise. Similarly, in the doctor career, performing an X-ray on a disguised alien can give strange results. Further testing will eventually reveal that they're an alien, and if you perform surgery on one, you'll unlock a special achievement called Autopsy Turvy. In the business career, level 3 is titled Assistant to the Manager and level 4 is Assistant Manager. This is a reference to the US version of the TV show The Office, where the character Dwight proudly holds the title Assistant to the Regional Manager before eventually becoming Assistant Regional Manager. You might think jogging is the fastest way for a regular sim to get around, but they can actually run, and it's much faster than jogging. This running walk style is different from the panic run during fires or when they're terrified, which is actually slower. Unfortunately, this efficient running animation only triggers in a few selections of very specific situations, like when a sim is about to throw up into the toilet, when firefighters rush to a fire, after helping a burglar escape, when heading off to streak, though weirdly they just jog during the actual streak, and a few others. Psst, you can also use this mod I made to make your sim run everywhere they go, by the way. On the Get Together expansion pack cover art, the sim Candy Bear is shown with this vibrant pink blonde ombre hairstyle. But when the pack got released, players quickly noticed that the actual in-game hairstyle looks noticeably different. This has been mocked ever since. The Heart Bat from the Love Struck pack has a vibration feature that you can turn on. When a sim is sitting or lying on it while it's vibrating, their voice also vibrates slightly during conversations if you listen closely.
Skibberell, count Go!
In the Crystal Creation Stuff Pack, the heart-shaped gemstone card has a description that reads, "Someday, somewhere, somehow, you'll love again. You just need to find someone." This line is a reference to the song found from the animated movie Steven Universe the Movie. Fittingly, the character Spinel from the movie also has a heart-shaped gem. There's a living chair in the Growing Together pack called Aldo Caldo's The Nomad Chair. This is a reference to the game Cyberpunk 2077, where one of the Nomad clans is named the Aldo Caldos. There is a base game lamp called the Sovereign, which is a reference to the main antagonist in the Mass Effect game series, also named Sovereign, a sentient alien spaceship. Try enlarging the lamp in build mode to make it feel more fitting as a tribute. Be careful if you're an avid collector of the colorful marbles from the Foreign pack. If you leave them scattered on the ground, dogs and cats can eat them, but they'll be okay. Sims can also sleep if they walk over these marbles. In the Growing Together expansion pack, if you use the Research Genealogy interaction from the computer, a few days after that, you may get a phone call from a stranger claiming to be your long-lost relative who wants to stay over for a few days. This event can also happen randomly without doing the research first. If you accept, that sim will show up at your door. Oh wait, who is this diva? They will look uncannily similar to your sim. They're even considered cousins in-game, although they won't appear in the family tree. If you live in Solani and a fire breaks out, even without a fire alarm, the locals and passerbys will rush in to help extinguish the flames. This has been happening ever since before firefighters were officially added to the game in 2020. Even Father Winter isn't afraid to visit the tropics to put out a blaze. The sense of community in Solani is just that strong. If your sim woohoos with the Grim Reaper, they'll get unique buffs based on how well it went. The buffs vary from bad to good to excellent. Sims with the skeptical trait from the Life and Death expansion pack are so distrustful of occults that they're completely immune to all occult powers, including ones from other packs. But if a skeptical sim becomes an occult themselves, they'll get tense and start questioning their identity every time they use their powers. In the My Wedding Stories game pack, if you visit a wedding venue outside of an event, the game will spawn engaged couples from your own save file who are also checking out the place. This includes both pre-made sims and custom engaged sims you've created before. There are several objects in The Sims 4 that you can stack on top of each other seemingly without limit. I'm not sure if the game has a cap for this, because when I tried, my game started breaking. I couldn't delete anything, edit anything, or even exit the game. So yeah, maybe don't try this one at home. So those are 50 fascinating facts that you might not know in The Sims 4. Which one surprised you the most? How many did you already know? And do you have any other fascinating Sims 4 facts you'd like to share? Feel free to let us know in the comments down below. Thank you everyone for watching this video. I hope you liked this video, and if you liked it and want more Sims videos like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. See you later!